now we've been on a little bit of a tour. We just were in Pittsburgh seeing the Mike Tomlin breakdown, and now we are in Buffalo to see two separate breakdowns. This first one coming to you is Mr. Brandon Beane, GM of the Buffalo Bills. Nice, quick, easy one. Let's jump right over to it.
Hey, I thought it was all over.
Nope. They roll coverage.
I just asked Sean what his message was to the players. What's your message to the front office and the coaching staff for the next 6 weeks before you reconvene?
Recharge, refresh, and communicate wherever your job is. If you're a trainer, if something's going on, if you're a scout and you hear something, whatever your job is, communicate with us, but get away. We got a long grind. Let's be fresh when we get back.
And that seems to be something that we're hearing on the regular for most of these press conference breakdowns, which if you aren't subscribed, make sure you do. It helps us out a lot. We really appreciate you. But yeah, in all these press conferences, we constantly hear from the coaches that we want them to recharge, but yet at the same time, have the mental focus, because you have 6 weeks to really digest and start understanding the playbook on an even more granular level. We've obviously seen all of Dave Canales' press conferences, Matt LaFleur. We're getting into Sean McDermott, which is our next video. Make sure you check out that one. Mike Tomlin, Shanahan, there's a bunch more, and obviously ton more content coming to you. But this is exactly what we want to hear from a GM, regardless of the organization. I want you guys to start really understanding it, but at the same time, I need you guys to relax, because once you come back here, not only is training camp going to go into full swing, and it's going to be padded, hits, and everything like that, but then you're about to go into a 17-week season, 3 preseason games, plus, hopefully, a postseason, which I think the Buffalo Bills might do well and might even have me swallow some of my previous predictions about Josh Allen and your beloved Buffalo Bills. So this is the architect of that, along with McDermott, and whatever he's telling them, I want to listen, because he clearly knows something that other people don't.
Today's supposed to be an off day?
You have to ask the head coach.
What sort of growth did you see from your position observing practice since the beginning of OTAs to now?
Growth as far as what?
A lot of new faces, and maybe the integration of those.
Yeah, I think it's good to see, Mitch Trubisky getting a chance to run with the ones a little bit, lead those guys. I thought he had some really good drives. Him being here a couple years back, bringing him back on and just seeing him reacclimate. But a lot of young faces, a lot of new faces, some guys, obviously rookies trying to make a name for themselves, but some vets that have bounced around. We got a lot of competition, obviously, at receiver, and, on the offensive side, defensively, different guys trying to earn spots, made some plays. It's funny, you got all different categories of established players that were paid or drafted in certain areas that are trying to establish themselves, and then new guys on this team trying to learn and make sure they know what to do when they get to training camp.
Yeah, that's another facet that they add to this. Obviously, they shipped out Diggs to the Houston Texans. They bring in Keon Coleman. I wasn't big on Keon Coleman, if I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm really sad about that, because I think Buffalo is going to take Keon Coleman and make me eat my words again. Josh Allen really is a dynamic offensive player, regardless of what system he's in, but specifically in Buffalo, he seems to be lethal. The one thing that I must say is the defense really needs to pick itself up. I expect a slump here a little bit, regardless of what they're bringing in rookie-wise. Keon Coleman will be a great filler in. Maybe not wide receiver 1 to start, probably wide receiver 2, 3 at times. But the offense, I think, is going to stay the same, if not increase. It's more of, can they get over the hump? I think this is going to be a great year, but they're going to have to slay some dragons in order to get to the Super Bowl. I don't even think the Chiefs will be much of a problem this year, so I think that's going to be kind of the one put to bed. This is Josh Allen's year, and hopefully it's going to be Keon Coleman's year as well. So great things on both sides, but again, that defense is going to be the separator between Super Bowl and not.
Sensed any sort of a new energy with so many new players, even coaches in new roles, and things just being a little different than they have been with the continuity of years past?
Yeah, I think change can be good. sometimes people are resistant to change, and naturally so. A lot of the things that we've been able to do, we've had success, so why are you changing it? But it's the nature of the business. You always want to stay a step ahead, and this is a new team. Every team's a new team, but this is truly a lot of new faces. As I said before, some players coming from other teams that have had success, or maybe things didn't work out as well, and we've got a fresh opportunity for them to reestablish themselves. So as always, it's been a good spring. We got some guys nicked up. We got to get them healthy, but I'm ready to get a break. I'm ready for everyone to get a break, and but I'll be excited when we get to St. John Fisher. You'll be fired up.
Brandon.
Okay, so obviously he needs a break. He definitely made sure to say that. And of course the guys need a break. They're coming out of the draft. There's a lot of been, voluntary as well as mandatory trainings in the past few weeks. So that little break is going to help them out. I think a lot of guys are going to go to Cancun and go to the normal places. But again, this Buffalo team, I think, is on the cusp of something great, or could be on the cusp of something great. But it's going to be that 1 or 2 person thing that they really need to get in there now, get it installed, and get it ready for the season. Because once it starts, it's going to be a crazy one. The winner of this Super Bowl, I think, is going to be one that not a whole lot of people are expecting. So check out my prediction down the road.
Topic, but every day teams are announcing joint practices for training camp.
Yeah.
What is sort of your guys' philosophy on not going that route?
Yeah, we're not against it at all. We've had things in the past that were tentatively lined up, and so we're not against it, and doesn't mean we're not going to do something.
Brandon,
as well.
I'm sorry. Could you
Okay, so they might have something else in store. I'm interested.
possibly do something this year still?
Possibly.
Okay.
Brandon, you mentioned the wide receivers. What about Keon Coleman? In particular, what have you seen from him through OTAs and now minicamp?
I think Keon's worked hard like anything. College playbook versus an NFL playbook, big difference. The verbiage, where he's lining up, the side adjust, all the variances he's got to do. Even just what we ask in the run game for our guys. I don't know specifically what he was asked there. Some schools are, there's very little. It's just like if it's not a pass play, take a play off. That's not here. He's got to be involved in all phases of our offense. So, but I see a guy who's working hard, who's competitive. You guys have got to know his personality. He's genuine. That's truly who he is. And like anything, he's going to have bumps in the road. He's a rookie, and I think we all need to understand that. But I think him and Josh are working on that rapport that's going to be necessary between quarterback and receiver.
Any injuries?
Okay, that's good. I think that's going to be a great duo. If this year you can pick up, Josh Allen really late in your fantasy, you could probably pick up Keon Coleman late as well. I think he's going to be a breakout wide receiver one for Buffalo. So that's going to be one of the people I am looking out for. Of course, the one that we went for last year, Jordan Addison. And now that Jalen Hyatt has some help up in New York, him and Malik Neighbors might be some solid fantasy options as well. So all up in that cluster, there's some great wide receivers in New York, both with the Giants, the Jets, and the Bills, to be honest with you. You guys are all doing great.
Pop up this week, aside from Khalil, and do you know anything about that?
Yeah, there's a few here and there. We got some nicks and bruises. I think Khalil's gonna be okay. I'm hopeful that everyone will be ready when we start or close is the goal. Obviously, they got to work through the summer.
Gable said he just got a phone call from the Bills one day. What was that like for you guys? Like, what led you to bringing him here?
Yeah, we had some talks. I think Sean was having a conversation with someone in the wrestling world. I can't remember who it was, and we got to talking about, we've always talked about various, with his wrestling background and pedigree, guys that make position switches. Obviously, sport switches. We brought in the lacrosse player at rookie camp, and so we got his number. I had one of our pro guys call him, and called him directly because he didn't have an agent at the time, and so we talked to him. Just what's the interest level? Is this just like something you think would be fun, or are you all in for this? So he worked out, showed some things. We weren't ready at that time, but we sent him some things that we thought he needed to think about, and if he wants to do that, we'll circle back. And in the meantime, he hired an agent, and so it worked out, whatever that was, 2 to 3 weeks later to get him here. And like a lot of these rookies, he's a rookie in his own way, trying to make a sport change.
That's an interesting one. sport change over guys that are already established in the sport. Obviously, there's a lot of undrafted rookies out there. My Carolina Panthers were able to go out there and snag Jalen Coker, and we've been kind of messing around with him. Obviously, he's an established receiver. This guy coming from wrestling is an interesting one. Wrestling's no joke, though, especially at the collegiate level. It's not like the WWE style you might be thinking of. These dudes can throw other men like they're ragdolls, especially if he's a big, burly guy. He's going up against other huge dudes. So if it works, it's amazing. It's such a great transition and everything like that. But obviously, these are more of the random flyers that you're taking now, hoping to establish that guy to eventually be able to make the 53. Whether or not he does that is something completely separate, but this is a great start and might end up fueling another pipeline down the road of people from other sports finally just making the jump. Because we've obviously seen guys make the jump from rugby and some other more physical sports, but and then of course basketball, but regardless.
Him and Travis Clayton, like taking chances on guys who haven't played any football or a lot of football before, like where does that belief come from, and like why take those chances on these guys who don't have the football experience?
Well, you got a 90-man roster, and so you're trying to look for everything, and you want it to be as competitive of a roster as you can. And sometimes the known player who's your 88th player, you already know when you bring him in, this is what he is. This is what he's going to be at the start of camp, and this is what he's going to be at the end of camp. Whereas maybe you're getting a guy here that's a little rawer, less experience, but has the pedigree, the ability to have a higher ceiling. And so let's take a shot here or there. If it makes sense, everything checks out. And so those are why we would take a shot on those. Easier to do that at 90 than, these guys are going to have a hard task, both the guys we're talking about, of going from the 90 to that 53.
Brandon.
Exactly what I said. It's just like a calculated risk, essentially. If you've ever been in finance or run your own business, you know all about risk management. It's a risk right now, but it's not too big of one. There's, like you said, there's a 90-man roster. It's making that 53 that is the real cutoff for guys. So whether or not he's going to make that this year, maybe not. But next year could be a possibility, or make it to the practice squad or something where he can develop and eventually make the 53. So.
What made you comfortable adding Gable, considering the off-the-field pass that he has, the issue that he had off the field, a couple plays?
Yeah, I believe he was cleared from all that, so everything checked out. As I've told you guys before, I'm not a crime investigator or anything. There was never anything there. There was never anything no charges, anything like that. So
Brandon, where are you at now with concerns at linebacker, and how did Shaquille Quartermain look to you out there?
He did a good job. I had to watch all the film to see everything. You're trying to watch a lot of guys, but we do know him. We've brought him in before, and had a look at him as a workout candidate. So we're very familiar with him. And what was your first question, Mookie?
Where are your concerns at as far as linebacker?
Yeah, just right now, health. That's our concern. We get some guys are nicked up there. Obviously, Matt's working his way back. It's good to see him back on the field, and we all know what he brings to this team on and off the field.
How much of the next 6 weeks might be spent thinking about the new kickoff rule and how you have to structure the roster, or even the strategy involved going into the preseason?
I'm not going to think a lot about it on the golf course, Sal. I'm really not. I think we've thought about it. We've talked about it since it passed in March. And there's some unknowns that I can't answer over the next 6 weeks while I'm trying to make that 6-foot putt.
Got it. Good luck on that.
But in Rochester, ask me.
Okay.
And that'd be a better time.
Hey, shout out to Mr. Brandon Beane. Hopefully he goes and gets those strokes off on the golf course. But regardless, I want to know your thoughts. Brandon Beane is obviously building for the future. He wants to build a dynasty for the Bills. They've obviously had a history of not being able to get over the hump. Josh Allen is, I think, a little bit of a problem with that whole situation right now, but with a few more weapons, especially dialed-in weapons like a Keon Coleman, where they're working together, is exactly what you guys need. The run game is still going to do well, but obviously it's going to be an interesting change. The division obviously brings in some more wrinkles with Drake May being added to the Patriots, the Jets having Aaron Rodgers back, and the Dolphins adding Odell Beckham. So it's going to be a real interesting one this year for that division. I could see the Bills ending up in the pole position. I could see the Bills winning a Super Bowl. even though I always said that Josh Allen would never win a Super Bowl for the Bills. Mitch Trubisky does it, that'd be even crazier. But regardless, tell me your thoughts down in the comments. And if you like coaching breakdowns like this, make sure you subscribe. Next one that we're doing is Sean McDermott. So if you're a Bills fan, hopefully I'll see you in the next one. My name is Nick. This has been Roll Coverage. Peace.